This episode is brought to you by FX's feud, Capote versus the Swans. Inspired by actual events, the series tells the story of Truman Capote and the women he betrayed. The original housewives. They were society's most elite women. Rich, glamorous socialites who defined a bygone era of high society New York. From creator Ryan Murphy, this drama series features an all-star cast, including Naomi Watts, Demi Moore, and Diane Lane. FX's feud premieres January 31st on FX Stream on Hulu.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Barenaked, 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 ABCs. Welcome to the Barenaked ABCs, where we are slowly dog paddling through the Barenaked Ladies songs alphabetically. We are back from winter break and ready to come out of our cocoons like butterflies. We are free.
See what you did there.
This week I am joined again, as always, and pleasurably by
Aaron.
And Michelle.
As this week we discuss Crawl.
Crawl. It's really impressive when I was just drowning.
Off Grinning Streak from 2013. It is an Ed Robertson song. Grinning Streak seems to have a lot of songs about ways to get around. They got Crawl, they've got Gonna Walk. Like, it seems like Ed's got a pattern going with this album here. Grinning Streak was a pretty popular album. It debuted at number 10 on the Billboard 200 chart and sold 26,000 copies in the first week, which is pretty good. It was their highest position since Everything to Everyone, so it's kind of like rebounding there for them. It debuted at number 12 on Canada's top album chart and 101 on the UK chart. What's wrong with you, UK? Like, where did you go? According to Setlist FM, getting back to this specific song, Crawl, this song has never been played in concert, not even during the Grinning Streak tour.
Wow.
I know, that is really an odd choice. My one question to you, Aaron, Songmeister, shouldn't your last song on the album, which Crawl is, shouldn't that be your strongest or one of your strongest songs?
Well, Tracy, it explains a lot, I think, that this is the last song on the album. I didn't know that going in, but that answers one of my many questions about this track. I don't dislike this song. I like this song. It's pretty good, and I'm a little surprised that it was never played live, but I guess with the ending, I don't want to jump the gun here. I'll get into why I think they ended just the way they did.
So this song is, like you said, it's an interesting song. It's a different song. He's trying to make metaphorical references to swimming and crawling. So he's referring to Crawl in this song, and I thought before I even listened to this song, because I don't listen to this song often, so it'd been a while, I thought he was referring to crawling as in the thing that we all do when we're trying to get around as babies.
No, the
and then I was like,
swim technique, yes.
Right. Oh, wait, this is a swim song, sort of. And then he makes the reference to the butterfly. Yeah. Some interesting, non-interesting facts about crawl stroke. It has several variations. The most often used is the Australian crawl. It is the fastest of the strokes, which is why often when swimmers use freestyle, which means they can use any stroke, any way to get down the pool, they often choose the crawl stroke to get down the pool for competitions. It is also one of the least tiring strokes. People can do it for a very, very long period of time without losing any energy. It is also one of the oldest strokes, which was first seen in Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Wow.
So, just some interesting little tidbits there about crawl stroke.
Crawl up and down the Nile.
They did.
That's
well,
kind of cool.
maybe not. I don't know how fast the
Are
mile
you in
was.
denial about that fact, Tracy?
Yeah.
You missed me, didn't you?
This is really
I did.
interesting. Not to jump the gun on Aaron's hot take, but just hearing you guys talk about this, like, it's just, I'm having to revise my assessment of this song because I totally did not take it literally. I totally looked at it as a song about shifting through depression.
Yes.
And but
Well, I definitely
Yeah, I
think.
can
I mean,
see
that's definitely the intent. I would say
well, and it's just interesting
through the metaphor of swimming, learning to swim.
it's just interesting, like, it makes so much more sense if you take it literally, but then it also disappoints me if it's literal. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I think it's both. Why not both?
Yeah, I think he's doing his double meaning thing that Ed likes to do.
Scorpio
Actually,
double entendre.
I really did like the lyrics in this song. I have to say, it reminded me very much of a comic book or a graphic novel, if you want to be pretentious, that I really love called The Max. And The Max is about this, well, ostensibly superhero, but he really ends up destroying things more than he ends up helping anybody. But he's kind of like, potentially could just be a schizophrenic homeless man. We're not really sure. Maybe he's just a hero in his own mind. But the whole thing is a metaphor for like puberty and coming of age and trying to become an adult and trying to make sense of the chaos of an adult life, and when you're responsible for yourself and coming to face your own kind of demons and dealing with depression and all this kind of stuff. So it was something I loved very much when I was in high school. It really kind of helped me out a lot. And they used a metaphor because, you know, he was talking to this depressed girl at one point called Sarah, and he said, you're wading through your depression, or you're wading through this time in your life. And she said, wading with a T? He said, no, wading. And I think there's a nice metaphor there about, like, they're talking about, you start off with in this song, they're talking about starting off with like a doggy paddle. And the doggy paddle, you know, it's not going to get you very far, but it'll help you not drown. You know, it's just kind of treading water, right? You just stay alive.
And it's usually our first thing that we do involuntarily. If you throw a child into water, that's their first thing they try to do.
If you've ever worked out in a pool before, they have, like, you know, the underwater aerobics, or just if you've done swimming, especially in like a lap sense or a competitive sense, you know how much inertia you have in water, how much energy it takes to get moving. So, like, imagine you're standing still in a pool with the water up to your neck, and then you try and run. There's a lot of resistance, you know what I mean? I feel like that's a really good metaphor for depression, like how hard it is to just get out of bed, take a shower, get dressed, go to work. Like, you're fighting through all this resistance and inertia just to get going. So I really do feel like there's some good lyrics here. We're talking about, we're starting off learning to dog paddle, then you kind of can get to crawl, you start moving, you learn to deal with these things, you learn to deal with the emotional weight of day-to-day life as an adult, and you learn to move on, or maybe getting past a trauma or something. So there's nothing specific here that I can say this applies to, you know, without, I don't want to psychoanalyze not that we don't do that. But
I was going to say, that's kind of what we do.
I totally do that.
You know, I actually really liked the lyrics, and I thought this was a pretty nice turn of phrase here.
I guess what struck me when you guys were talking about the literal swimming, like, that didn't even occur to me. It did not even occur to me that it was a literal swimming song.
I love swimming, so that might have been what I was just tuned into it. I love being in the water.
Well, I think the thing that got me was towards the end of the song where I'll crawl. It's really impressive when I was just drowning. Like, to me, it seems like such an emotional, like, I was just drowning, but I'm crawling. I'm doing it. I'm here. I'm still breathing. I'm doing it. Like,
well, and crawling, like I said, is it's not the most difficult stroke, but it is the fastest. It's the most efficient stroke. So in some ways, it's a proof that you're doing really, really well using that analogy.
Get up and get moving.
Versus butterfly, which is literally the hardest stroke that is out there. And he's like, you know, might as well be a butterfly. I'm almost there. I'm kind of getting there. Like, I might as well be there because at least I'm moving.
It's just as good.
And that's a perfect tangential analogy because with the butterfly, you're reborn. So again, if we're getting over trauma or something, I think that there's really good
Ed's
lyrics.
Spinning a yarn around us.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Like he does.
My favorite line with that analogy of depression is, it's harder than it looks to move through water, because so many people like, and you see memes about it all over the place today, but it is, people always are telling people like, oh, well, just get over your depression, we'll just get past it, we'll just do this, we'll just do... It's not that easy. It's easier to say that you could do those things than when you're in a depression. Well, just get out of bed. No, there is no just getting out of bed. It is a struggle to even want to get out of bed when you're in a clinical depression. Like, it's not an easy thing, but people always simplify it. And I think that's a great first line to start this metaphor off with and go with. Because swimming also, like, it is hard to move through water. It looks easy, but it isn't.
Agreed.
And I do like a lot of the analogies. He likes to throw those little lines in there throughout the song to keep us in the metaphor. This is one of those songs where he does keep us in the metaphor almost throughout the whole thing. The only part that like really got me that I didn't quite get, and maybe I just need to listen through it one more time and it will click, is I could hold my breath and just stay under, but now there's rings of fire on the lake. So I'm kind of like, I'm not quite sure what that part of the metaphor was.
Is this about the Olympics and Michael Phelps?
It could be.
Like, I wonder if he was inspired by Michael Phelps.
Maybe he was just thinking about how great of an analogy that was, you know? So, I mean, that's totally possible. So I could hold my breath and just stay under. Rings of fire on the lake. Looking back, I have to wonder just how much did I think I could take? So, you know, maybe it's like, I don't think hold my breath and just stay under is like, you know, swimming underwater. I think it's more like that scene in, what is it, the Royal Tenenbaums, or certainly the Graduate. There's a couple of movies where there's people just kind of like go, I don't know if it was Royal Tenenbaums or if it was Rushmore, but Bill Murray's character in one of those Wes Anderson films just like went to the bottom of the pool and just exhaled and just sat there for a little while.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, I think that's the kind of image we're talking about, which would be like giving up. That would be like giving into your depression, you know.
I was going to just wonder if that's like giving into the depression. Not so much giving up on life, but giving in on the depression. Like, it's easier than trying to sit there and struggle and stay afloat. Like, it's like just... Yeah, maybe I should just let myself be under here.
The rings of fire on the lake might be like a sense of urgency. Like, I know it's comfortable. You know, that I think that's the thing, and not to get too deep, but that's the thing about depression that a lot of people, especially people who maybe never struggled with it, don't understand. Is it's not a pleasant thing, but there is a comfort in shutting yourself out from everyone, just staying in bed, and like just giving in to the depression. It's not nice. It's not pleasant. I don't even know if comforting is the right word, but there is a certain amount of inertia is the best thing that I can it's so much easier to not fight. It's so hard to fight it sometimes, I think. Yeah. That it's just like, just go, whatever.
Lay there. Just turn the TV on, get the bag of Doritos, and stuff your face.
No, legit though, yeah. So, I mean, I do think this song, the lyrics are actually... And in fact, I'm really glad that we had this discussion because I've actually just slightly raised my rating for the song.
Right.
I like it a little better now. I already was coming at it from this angle, but I certainly think after discussing it with the both of you that this is most definitely where the lyrics are coming from. And I really like the analogy, and I think it's pretty nicely done. So it's still not... I mean, I guess I'm jumping the gun here. It's not one of my favorite songs they've done, but it's pretty darn good, and I like it.
Let's talk a little bit about the music. Okay. Why don't we hand it over to you, Aaron, to talk about the music in general, and then also discuss how the music blends in with those lyrics.
Well, now I'm thinking twice as hard about it because this is interesting. So, okay, let's break it down.
Breakdown. Aaron's gonna talk about chord structure and time.
Crawl is recorded at 97 beats per minute. Exactly. Again, does seem to have been recorded to a click track or electronic percussion. It's in the key of A major. Let's go over the changes here really briefly. This is very simple changes. So the verse is 1-6-4, and then the intro and the chorus are both 1-3-4. So we're kind of we're departing and arriving at the same place, but with different layovers, if you will. And then the pre-chorus is kind of the most complex. The pre-chorus goes 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 4, and then the 4 goes back to the 1 for the chorus. So it's like a blues turnaround. There's nothing here that's like earth-shattering as far as being innovative, but I think it's well done, and I think it's interesting that the resolution back to tonic is always coming from the 4 in this song, not the 5, which you might expect at least half the time. So it's interesting. I don't know if that was intentional, like the 4, traditionally speaking, people don't view it as having the same amount of urgency to resolve back to the tonic that the 5 does. So I don't know if that's a metaphor for the depression or the fact that it kind of stays in the same place and does the same things, if that's like talking about depression or the inertia. Maybe I'm giving them too much benefit of the doubt, or maybe I'm projecting here, but that could be an interesting way to look at it, certainly. So the changes, we have the intro, which I'm going to call C changes because that's the chorus. The first verse is A, pre-chorus is B, chorus is C, verse 2 is A, pre-chorus is B, chorus is C. Then there's the pre-chorus changes again, and I'm going to call this like a quasi-bridge, because it's not really a bridge. There's no actual bridge in this song, but it's like it goes instead from the chorus, instead of into the verse, it goes back into the pre-chorus changes, and there's a little bit of instrumentation changes. And then we have the chorus changes with a sliding synth solo on top. And then we just repeat the chorus changes until the main instrumentation fades out and is completely replaced by very, very loud synth pads. The whole song, I feel, has a slightly kind of mid to late U2 feel to it almost, but with much less reverb and delay. I don't know about you guys. Maybe back me up here. The synth pads that come in on the second chorus, or is it the second verse? Just too loud. Too loud. Is it just me? Because I had to check my browser tabs to make sure something else wasn't playing in the background. It was very weird. I was like, whoa, is something else playing now? I actually like the pads. The pads are very ambient. They're very Brian Eno, but they're so up front and present in the mix that it's very distracting to me. It's not just at the end. Like, they have them at the end, and it might have worked if it was just like that at the end, but those pads are so damn loud in the second verse. It's weird. It's like, as much as I liked a lot of the instrumentation and the performance of the song, did anyone else feel like that ending was a bit of a cop-out?
I'm trying to remember it.
So here's what happens.
To be honest, like, I've listened to this song several times, and like, thinking of the song even now, it's not coming to me off the top of my head.
The main chorus groove with the guitars and the bass and the drums and everything starts to fade out, and the pads start to fade in. And eventually you're left with just the pads. So I've heard this. This is something that has been done. The Beatles have done stuff like this. A lot of bands have done stuff like this. It's, rather than having a traditional fade out where it just goes down to nothing, I can see the impulse, right, to be like, well, let's just not do it plain old fade out. But what happens is, the pads start fading in, they get louder and louder, everything else gets softer and softer, and then you're left with just these ambient pads that sort of wash over you, which, now that I'm thinking about it, like waves maybe, right? Could be that kind of thing.
Maybe.
So maybe that's a metaphor for, I don't know, is that giving into depression? Did you drown?
You drowned.
Are you leaving on the shore now and the waves are behind you? I don't know. But now that I actually kind of like it a little more now that we've had that conversation, but it still feels like a bit of a cop-out to me. It feels like we didn't know how to properly end the song, so we're going to fade it out and bring these synth pads in and leave it there. And, whatever. I think I might have preferred a traditional fade-out, honestly. And that might be why they don't perform it live, because it's kind of hard to do it correctly live or sound interesting, or it might sound kind of jarring just to have everything but the pads and the synth going. The synth pads at the end too, they lasted so long. You know what I mean? It was like almost a minute of just the synths, I want to say. It was very weird. It felt like they were either trying to fill space on the CD, or like maybe someone's Blade Runner soundtrack had been left in the CD changer. It was kind of beautiful, but very incongruent, I want to say is the word I'm looking for. It felt a little jarring. Overall, I like the song, but I don't love it. I think it's better than a lot of the stuff we've heard off their later albums that I've been very adamant recently about calling middle of the road, mediocre, phoned in. This one stands a cut above that stuff, in my opinion, but it could have been much better with a little development. Perhaps adding in like a real bridge.
Development.
Yeah, it feels underdeveloped.
It feels underdeveloped. To me, I feel like as we discuss the lyrics, I can see the merit of the song. But to me, just listening to the music really didn't inspire me to like dig in like we just did into the lyrics. It's just like another song that they pumped out to put on the record to fill some space.
Well, that's what I was like wondering if maybe they were trying to like get like an exact round number, and that's like, let's put in an extra minute of synth pads at the end of Crawl. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I'm being a little silly there, but like, I don't know. It's
Let me listen to it real quick here.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say, I think if they added like a real bridge, if they toned down those synth pads in the second chorus, maybe even toned them down a little at the end and fading out the instrumentation, the main instrumentation, a little less abruptly and not just sitting on those pads for so long at the very end, it could have been a little bit better of a tune. But
I mean, I think they're definitely trying to say something with that there. I almost feel like, once again, they're trying to drive home that Depression feel. Like, re-listening to it now, like, I get that feeling of... It's that feeling of not floating, but you feel immersed in water. It's that feeling of kind of water is kind of enveloping you. You're not in danger of drowning at that point, but you're not safe. You're not feeling great either. So it's definitely almost like that coming out of the depression, possibly a little bit feel, but you're not. Like, I wouldn't say that sound and that set of sounds makes me feel safe or energetic or feel like I'm succeeding. It doesn't feel like I'm flying. It makes me feel like I'm struggling. I'm getting through, but I'm not totally underwater at this point. That's my thought. I'm looking at Michelle, but she can't tell I'm looking at her.
I see what you're saying for sure, and I feel like as we keep talking about the song, it just feels like this song actually has a lot of potential, but it feels like
they took it out of the oven too soon.
Yes. They left their cake out in the rain.
The cookie, yes. Oh my God, MacArthur Park. I was gonna say their cookies are a little soft in the middle, and not necessarily in a good way, just a little too soft.
It just feels like another song that they pumped out to put on the record. You know what I mean? And
I think
just
it could have been
listening,
something really great.
Yes, especially after we got dug into the lyrics. Like, there's really stuff here, and it could have been. I don't know. It is what it is. I get what you're saying, Tracy, too.
Or maybe they were pressured. Maybe they were under pressure to get the album out by a certain date, and they were just like,
ding,
yeah,
ding,
that's
ding,
good
ding,
enough.
ding,
Just put it on.
ding,
Yes,
ding, 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 ding.
exactly.
Just because, like, I listen to the other songs that are on this record, you know, and so we have, like, Gonna Walk, you have Best Damn Friend. They're very upbeat, happy for the most part, most of the songs that are on here, Daydreaming. Mm-hmm. So, and then you have this song, which is, it's kind of morose. It's not down, not depressed, but it's definitely a morose song. And it doesn't match up with some of the other songs that are on this album. And it finishes off the album, which is a really weird tone to, like, this. You were talking about that synth at the end.
Yeah.
That finishes the album.
Well, that's okay. I'm glad you brought that back up, Tracy. Thank you, because I did, when you had mentioned this was the closer to the album. I don't mind that as much, because now it's more of a thematic puzzle piece, and I guess that's one kind of sort of I'm looking for downside. I guess I wanted to artfully phrase it, more artfully phrase that. But one of the negatives of us using this format is I have not heard most of these albums, you know, cover to cover. I am experiencing them scattershot all over the map, one song at a time from different eras. So, you know, maybe at the end of this adventure, I'll go and just listen to them all, you know, from beginning to end, because I am a firm proponent of concept albums, theme albums. Pink Floyd's like one of my favorite bands ever. Radiohead's one of my favorite bands ever. Muse. I love Queen. You know, I love all of these bands that like to have like a theme for the album, have almost like a rock opera, you know, there's like thematic elements. And I don't know how much is present in these albums, because it's hard for me to keep the thread going from one song to the next. And sometimes I hear the last song of the album first, or like a middle song. So I guess maybe if I heard this album all the way through, and if there was a progression, like what you're talking about, Tracy, if there was a progression, a thematic progression from like one place to another, maybe that would make a little more sense. And maybe the ending of this song is it's less the ending of this song as it is the ending of the album. And maybe the song is where it is to kind of say like, hey, we know sometimes life can be hard. We've been there. I've felt this this is my metaphor, this is how I think of it, and this is how I get through, this is how it feels for me. That's pretty powerful, and that could be something. I worry that because I'm not hearing it in the context of the album as a whole, I might be missing out on a piece of that. So if somebody wants to email us and give their own spin, especially guys, BNL, we know you listen, we know you want to be on the show, come talk to us about it. Yeah, Ed, Kevin, come on everybody, Tyler, we'd love to have you on. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, maybe I'm certainly fallible, in spite of rumor to the contrary. So if I have missed something here, I would love to hear about it, or if somebody has another theory or something, we'd love to hear from you. So write to us at barenakedabcs@gmail.com.
And when we finish off with the whys, I'd like to have us each listen to the album all the way through and then reorganize, and I'll give you a list at that time of all the B-sides and backup songs that they had at that time, and reorganize the albums as we think that they should have been.
Okay, I like that idea.
But that's a long ways down the road.
Yeah,
so.
obviously.
And I figured it would be best to do that after we've heard all the songs.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So why don't unless you have some more to add there, Michelle, why don't I send it over to you?
Okay, so for ratings, now I picked the topic after listening to it a couple of times, and the only word that really stood out to me was butterflies. Like, that's the only thing that stood out, and I'm like, this is, like, nothing really meshed listening to it. I think there wasn't really enough emotion in it for me, even though I was looking at the lyrics.
How many strokes?
Oh, there we go. We could change it. I did have butterflies, but we'll change it to strokes. So I gave it, after our discussion, I, like Aaron, raised my score just a tad. I started at the 2.5 because that's middle. That's the middle, and it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But I've upped my score to 2.75 strokes. So, Aaron, how about you? What is your score?
We are, as we usually are, Michelle, very, very close in our ratings here. I initially was going to go for like 2.75 or so, and I raised mine ever so slightly. I raised it up to 2.9, but then I was thinking about it just underneath that. So I'm going to go and give Crawl 2.85 butterflies out of 5, or 2.85 strokes out of 5. I do recommend
let's call it butterfly strokes.
Butterfly strokes. There you go.
We'll
compromise.
There we go.
So you said
sorry.
2.85?
Yeah, 2.85 butterfly strokes out of 5. And that comes with a caveat, which is that I do think people should listen to this song. If you have not heard this song, honestly, it's BNL, so I think pretty much almost everything is worth a listen. That's why I'm doing this. Everything that I've heard so far, it's not like I'm upset that I spent my time listening to any of these songs, even the ones that I didn't particularly like.
That's not what your email last week said to me, Aaron.
I don't remember that email, but okay.
I'm upset about another postcard still.
But yeah, okay. So, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that it's worth, almost anything could be worth a listen to. But if you're listening to the show right now and you're like, well, I'm not going to listen to anything that Aaron rates lower than a 3 or something like that, give Crawl a chance, because there is something there. I feel like it's underdeveloped. I feel like there could have been more done with it. But there is something there that intrigues me, and there's something there that is definitely worth a listen. And the lyrical content especially is very interesting. And I think it could make a connection for you. And certainly, obviously, I know, personally in my life, I've had trouble with being, melancholy at times. So music for me is very much a therapeutic experience, both listening to it, writing it, performing it, recording it.
Definitely.
Music is a huge, huge part of my life, and it's been a huge gift to me to help me deal with things. So a lot of times, a lot of people would ask me, like Aaron, my mom, when I was a kid, like, why do you listen to depressing music? Well, because for me, if I hear a song that I find beautiful and that is melancholic and it's kind of bittersweet, and I can relate to it, I feel like whomever wrote that song understands what I'm going through. Maybe not exactly, but someone out there whose work that I admire feels or has felt at some point like I'm feeling now, or like I felt in the past. And that, I think, makes it easier to deal with. So I think music like this is very valuable. And I'm not sure this is the song for me. in that application of it, but I definitely think that there could be someone out there who hears this song and thinks, wow, you know what? Okay, it's a good metaphor. I'm just going to keep, just to be like Dory from Finding Nemo, just keep swimming, right? You will get through it. Things can get better. Don't give up. And I think that's an important message. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Tracy, how many
All right.
butterfly strokes do you give this song?
Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm trying to pull something up. Oh, butter. There we go.
oh, butterfly strokes.
Oh, butterfly strokes. That's right. Oh, I know. I'm looking in the wrong folder. Haha. All right. So, I'm trying to pull up my notes here because I closed them for a second. My big thing is I love the lyrics. I think it's very poetic. I think it's a great way of kind of melding this metaphor. The more I listened to it, especially once I understood that it was about depression, the more I kind of got into it. I think that the music, there's things missing. Stop. There's things things missing, but at the same time, I do like it, and I like how it's a change from this other songs on this album. I'm not a big fan of the synth at the end of the song. I'm not proud to say this, but I will be honest that songs like this at the end of the song, I will wait till that comes up, listen to like 10-12 seconds of it, and then hit next song. Especially if I'm driving. Like if I'm just sitting there and chilling, I won't do that. But if I'm driving, I'm gonna switch it because I want to get to that next song that I'm gonna be able to jam to. So what I'm giving this is 3 butterfly strokes.
Okay, so that brings our song gives the total score of a 2.87, which brings it just above Carol of the Bells.
Okay, that seems about right. So it's above a word for that. It's slightly above Another Spin. It's above Another Postcard.
It's just below Born Human.
Just below Another Heartbreak. Yeah, and I guess Born Human as well.
Sorry about that. I've been adding in the beats per minute and chord of the song.
Yes.
And so the key of the song, which is in there now, so at the end we can do some analysis, but in doing so I had to get it in alphabetical order to do it.
No
Sorry
problem.
about that.
That's okay. No problem.
I think that's about where it belongs. I think honestly it's pretty darn good, especially, again, I know that we've been kind of hard on some of the latter day BNL stuff, but I think again, I would love to see them maybe take another stab at this song. I'd love to see them come back to it and be like, hey, let's make another version of this song and maybe like go somewhere else with the bridge or do something like that. I'd love to hear another take on this song because I do think there's something really, really interesting in this song.
All right, so guys, we got another postcard.
We got a postcard. Oh, wow.
We did. We have a question that posed to us here. Tyler Harper from Canada. I'm not sure what city in Canada he's from, so I apologize, Tyler. Tyler Harper, our longtime listener, had a question for us. He says, as we've been going through the B&L songs alphabetically, I have a thought about albums. I'm the type of guy who enjoys listening to entire albums in order and finding hidden gems. The one B&L album that I have struggled with is Silverball, the one that we discussed last week.
As well. Thus far.
Yes. I can't find a song I like from it or a hidden gem that I enjoy. I just don't like that album in its entirety. On the other hand, Everything to Everyone is an album that is one that I can listen to and enjoy the whole thing. This also happens with Gordon, Stunt, and Maroon, but they are also universally accepted as awesome. Is there an album from B&L that you cannot stand to listen to? And he says that he would imagine it would be from the 2009 and later releases. Michelle, I'll hand that over to you. Do you have... I can't ask Aaron because Aaron hasn't listened to the albums yet.
I thought this was a really great question, and I want to just give a shout out to Tyler. Hi, Tyler. For me, now, I have to say, and probably our listeners know this, like, I am a fan from way back. Like, I'm an old school fan. And so, the newer albums I listen to, and they're okay. But this question, I wanted my answer to be different, but my answer is Everything to Everyone. And it's not because I don't like the album. The songs are okay, but for me, it just, like, when this first came out, that album was the one where I wasn't immediately in love with it, and I could feel that things were changing, and I could feel that it wasn't the same, and it didn't have that magic, and it just made me uneasy. And so every time I put that CD on or go to put it on, I just feel that. So that's the album that it's not that I don't like the album, but I'm not going to put that one on. Like, that's just one that doesn't get put on just because of all the weird vibes I have around it, I guess.
Interesting.
Yep.
Good answer.
And I think mine will come out more, and I'll see if I'm incorrect on this at the end. Like, we're keeping all these numbers, so, like, at the end, we're going to crunch, like, who hates which album the least, who loves which album the most.
That'll be cool.
So, like, I love having this in a Sheets file, so I can just easily, like, crunch those numbers. But as it stands right now, numbers prove me wrong or right later on. Silverball is the album that I never return to. I never pull up a song off Silverball and listen to it. I don't think, even after I bought it, that I listened to Silverball all the way through one time through. I listened to parts of it, I stopped it, I came back to it, I stopped it, I came back to it. It was my disillusionment with B&L at that point.
Interesting.
And then, luckily, the album after that, like, this newest album, they've brought me back. I've enjoyed this album a little bit more so than the previous one. But yeah, for me, it's got to be Silverball.
Well, I'm gonna say for me, it's snack time. I'm calling it here. That's if we're gonna. I'm predicting that my lowest rated album by average of song will be Snack Time. Now, if we don't count Snack Time, Silverball, based on what I've heard, I'm gonna guess is maybe Grinning Streak, but I think Silverball is probably gonna be my lowest. And I'm guessing either Stunt or Maroon for my top rated album. Is likely to be the case, but we'll see. Gordon's got some good stuff too. Again, I really like so much of what I've heard. It's really a testament to how talented these guys are that I keep coming back here week after week. If I was not getting something out of this, if I was not enjoying this music, I mean, obviously I'm enjoying the activity of kind of analyzing it. It's good kind of mental exercise for me to stay sharp with my theory skills and stuff. But and I love talking to you guys, but I think if I wasn't enjoying the music, if I didn't feel like, oh, I can't wait to hear the next Alcohol or hear the next Conventioneers or whatever, if there wasn't that pull, I probably would be like, well, guys, this is a really huge project, and I've been having a lot of fun with
I'm so
the A's and the
busy.
B's.
I can't even.
But yeah, so the fact that I'm sticking with this is a testament, I think, to the
I
quality.
don't have 10 more years to get to this project.
So who knows? I do have a lot of stuff going on, but
I'm going to hit retirement before we're over.
I do want to keep up with it. Yeah, hopefully, I don't know. They better slow down releasing albums, or we'll never catch up.
I know. They just said they headed back into the studio. I'm like, no, please, God, no. Let us catch up.
But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to many more. So
Now, I plan on putting out there, once I figure out how to do this, I plan on putting and posting a survey on Facebook so other people can also answer this question as well. I just have to figure out how I can go about doing that and keeping it open so we can get just continuous responses as more and more people come.
Wonder if we could do a pinned post with a straw poll in it.
Oh.
Because you have poll options on Facebook. You can make a poll, and then maybe we could pin it to the top of the page. So
that's a good idea.
That's the first thing.
That's a great idea. We'll have to talk about that at some point here about how to get that to happen. You guys, sounds like you guys know a lot more about it than I do.
I might be able to do that.
Ooh, that would. If you want to take that project, go right ahead.
Sure.
I have a billion projects that I'm juggling, so.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll take it over.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, cool.
Very cool.
Appearance for the week. Okay, random selection here. I have about 5 of them that I've pulled up. The one that I'm most excited to kind of talk about, I'm going to go with. I found this wonderful thing thanks to, I want to say that it came from the B&L Chronology book. There is a very short film, 3 minutes long, so it's almost like a music video because there's music throughout it, but it's called a short movie called Oh Alberta.
Okay.
And it's about if Bonnie and Clyde came alive today, kind of thing. And it's a chase scene and bank robbery scene. Tyler is featured at the end of that as a policeman. Literally, it's a 2-second glimpse of Tyler, but it's just fun. It's a wonderful little cameo.
Was this before or after they released the song Bank Job?
Want to say it was after. I don't have the number here with me.
After that'd be a wonderful little reference there. Or I guess either way it works. So maybe they got inspired by that. But I actually really like that song, by the way, Bank Job. I really enjoyed that one. So
quick plug.
Yes.
Whatever It Takes podcast. We are part of the Filling the Void Network. There is a wonderful podcast on Wednesdays called Whatever It Takes, a Degrassi podcast, where they talk about the next generation. And of course, I would love to have them on because, as you know, Ed was on 2 episodes of that show as the music teacher, ironically enough, or coincidentally enough. And I would love to have them come on and talk with us a little bit about that. And it's kind of neat that they have these wonderful podcasts. I'm really old at this point, and I grew up watching. Oh my God, it's so crazy to say this.
The original.
I watched the original Degrassi back when it was on PBS. Yes. It is crazy to imagine how old that is. And speaking of crazy, that's the song that we're going to hit next week.
Woo!
Nice transition.
Very nice.
Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next week for one of my favorite songs, Crazy.
Yay! See you next week.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.